What's happening in Jerusalem right now was foretold in Bible prophecy, and what comes next may rewrite how you see the end times. What if I told you that some of the most important prophecies in the entire Bible are being fulfilled now? 3 Jerusalem prophecies that are being fulfilled right now. What you discover could prepare you for the next major global shift. Each one gets more intense than the last. Don't blink. Every prophecy fulfilled brings us one step closer to the final hour. Number 1. The restoration of Israel. What if I told you that a miracle happened in front of the whole world, and most people missed it? It was something so impossible, so unlikely, that even many believers didn't think it could happen. Why did the church doubt a prophecy that God made crystal clear? And yet, even with God's word declared, doubt still crept in like a silent storm. This next revelation may change how you view modern Israel forever. Do you realize how close history came to forgetting God's people forever? What ripple effect did this moment send through the last days timeline? This is the true story of the rebirth of Israel, and how it proves that Bible prophecy is alive. If this prophecy came true, how many others are already in motion? In the Old Testament, God made a promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He gave them a land, a homeland, Israel. But as the years passed, sin and rebellion led the people away from God. What happens when a nation chosen by God walks away from Him? Eventually, they were conquered. First by the Babylonians, then the Persians, then the Greeks, then the Romans. Was each empire unknowingly playing a role in God's timeline? In 70 AD, the Romans destroyed Jerusalem and the Jewish temple. The people were scattered across the earth. Their homeland was lost. And yet, this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a setup for something greater. But a scattered people are vulnerable to being forgotten. It looked like the end. But God often hides His greatest victories behind apparent defeat. Don't mistake silence for absence. God is still writing the story. How do you survive as a nation when your name is erased from the map? When your world crumbles? What keeps your hope alive? Could a people without a country survive? Has any other people group in history come back after nearly 2,000 years? What you'll see next proves this is more than coincidence. It's divine. Even in the darkest times, the prophets spoke of hope. Their words echo now louder than ever. What secret did the prophets know that gave them boldness in the face of destruction? Ezekiel 36, verse 24 says, "For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land." The people were scattered for over 1,800 years. Why did God wait so long? And what shifted in the spirit realm in 1948? If you miss this moment, you might miss your calling too. But God said He would bring them back. And the world didn't believe it. What comes next shows why man's doubt can never cancel heaven's decree. Have you believed the world's voice louder than the whisper of prophecy? Be careful. What you believe now shapes where you'll stand in the future. People began to remember the ancient promise. Was this the fulfillment of Ezekiel's vision? Or just the beginning? And if it's only the beginning, what greater shaking still lies ahead? Could Ezekiel's dry bones live? Did God give us a vision of resurrection long before it ever happened? After World War II, the world stood at a crossroads. Was this the moment heaven waited for since the days of Isaiah? You're about to see how ancient scrolls collided with modern headlines. The United Nations met to decide the fate of the Jewish people. Some argued against giving them land. Some said it was too late. But prophecy never runs out of time. It just waits for the right hour. We are closer now to the final hour than most people realize. Prophecy was moving. What invisible hand was guiding history toward a divine conclusion? What happens next may convince you that no human decision can override heaven's plan. You are not watching history. You are living prophecy. And if God's hand is still guiding history, can you feel Him guiding you right now? And what happens when that hand is resisted by nations and kings? On May 14th, 1948, something happened that had not been seen in 2,000 years. This isn't just about the past. It's a countdown for the future. You're about to witness a moment where prophecy stepped out of shadows and into the spotlight. This moment is not just historical. It's prophetic proof unfolding. A nation was reborn in a single day, just like Isaiah said, which means Isaiah might have seen more than we ever imagined. Have you ever seen something so impossible suddenly become reality? How did an ancient prophecy perfectly predict a modern political event? But the joy didn't last long. Joy isn't the end of the story. Testing is coming next. On May 15th, just one day later, 5 Arab nations attacked Israel. What happens when prophecy is surrounded by war? Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Iraq. Can you imagine waking up in celebration only to face war the next morning? This is how quickly peace can turn into prophecy's battlefield. Celebration and suffering can arrive only hours apart. Prophetic victories are often followed by fierce battles, which means the next miracle may require your greatest faith. Was this a coincidence or a spiritual backlash? Because when prophecy moves forward, darkness pushes back. They outnumbered Israel. They had more weapons. They had more soldiers. But one thing they didn't have was the hand of God. And that hand is moving again today. Can you feel it? Have you ever felt outnumbered by life itself and still had to stand your ground? Because what held Israel up could be holding you up too. Sometimes, miracles are the only thing standing between survival and annihilation. How could Israel possibly survive such overwhelming odds? Everyone thought Israel would be wiped out. Even newspapers said it would only last a few days. But what if God's timeline isn't measured in headlines? What would people say about your chances if they only saw your weakness and not your God? What headline would have been written if God hadn't stepped in? But somehow, Israel stood. Every step forward carried the risk of sudden destruction. Somehow, the tiny army survived. Somehow, the miracle continued. Because once God begins something, He always finishes it. Can a fragile beginning still lead to a powerful legacy? What begins in weakness may rise in glory. Is this proof that biblical prophecy isn't just symbolic, but literal? This wasn't just a vision. It was a timeline. And every second that passes brings us closer to its next fulfillment. Bible prophecy is like a puzzle. And in 1948, one of the biggest pieces was placed. Now we ask, what pieces are falling into place right now unnoticed? What pieces are being placed right now that we're missing? Now, everything else is lining up. And when that last piece clicks in, it might be too late to react. We're approaching the moment where the final piece falls, and history flips. If you want to understand the end, you have to start at the center. Ignore Israel, and you'll miss the map to everything that comes next. Without Israel, there is no return of the king. If everything leads back to Israel, then where do you stand in God's global story? Coming up, we'll explore the role every believer plays in this unfolding plan. And by the end of this video, you'll know why your role in this story cannot wait. What storm is forming over Israel that the world is blind to? Before the signs come, the world may fall into deeper deception. And Israel is the sign that we are almost there. If Israel is the clock, then your heart is the alarm. Are you awake? Could this generation live to see the return of the King? But this generation may also face its greatest testing. Will you be ready to stand when everything starts to fall? Number 2, the world is setting eyes on Israel. What if I told you that one small city, less than 50 square miles, could one day cause the entire world to shake? How can something so small carry weight that moves the world? Why does this one city carry more spiritual weight than any other on earth? And that God already warned us about it. That city is Jerusalem. What prophecy names Jerusalem as the epicenter of the final global conflict? And according to Bible prophecy, it will become a cup of trembling for all nations. But what exactly will make the whole world tremble over one city? Not maybe, not if. It will. Imagine waking up and realizing your city is the ground zero of prophecy. But when it does, the foundations of the world will crack. Has the countdown already begun? And no one's paying attention? What if the clock is ticking, but no one hears it but you? And what's happening in the news right now shows us that prophecy is unfolding before our very eyes. What headlines are actually hidden warnings from heaven? There is no city like Jerusalem. It's not just important to one religion. It's holy to 3: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. It's the city where Jesus walked, where the temple stood, where prophets cried, where kings ruled, and where wars have never stopped. And the next war may be the last. Have we grown numb to the very signs that shook the prophets? What ancient curse or destiny causes unending conflict here? But why? Why is the world obsessed with this tiny piece of land? Could Jerusalem be the spiritual fault line of the entire earth? And the warning comes from the book of Zechariah. What did Zechariah see that the world is still trying to ignore? Let's read the verse that sets the stage. Zechariah 12 verse 2 says, "Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about." What is a cup of trembling? It's not peace. It's not comfort. It's fear, confusion, panic. What event could push every country on earth into chaos over this one city? And right now, it's already happening. Could we be living in the exact moment Zechariah saw in his vision? History may not repeat. It may erupt. Look at the news. Every few weeks, Jerusalem is back in the headlines. Why can't the world take its eyes off this city for more than a moment? A spark on that ground could ignite a fire no one can put out. Nations gather for peace talks, but peace never comes. Why is peace always promised, but never delivered? Some want to divide the city, others want to claim it. Could the attempt to divide Jerusalem be the final straw that unleashes judgment? What happens when the last thread of restraint finally snaps? And once that straw breaks, nothing will hold the flood back.